you're seeing behind me, called the Critical Minerals and Land Use Governance in Zambia. That is the research project that we are working on. The idea that what are some of the key issues that we need to address even as we think of expanding our mineral extraction stance in Zambia and status. And we've seen a number of strategies and policies that have been developed over the past few years or so. And all these are surmounting to one particular thing, the energy transition and the demand for raw materials to support this transition.
As this is actually our major aim as CCG, is to help the country to transition to low carbon efficiency, and that's through energy and that's also through transport. So now we have added the component of critical minerals because, as you are aware, mining is such a big issue in Zambia. Not long ago, we had been contending with conversations around mining in Lower Zambesi and whether that should have gone ahead or not. I know CEJ was very vocal about it, and they were among actually those who were spearheading conversations around that. So it's just fitting that we can have a project or a dialogue that is dealing with critical minerals and whether that can be done in a sustainable manner.
From the government end of things, they are very consolidated in terms of where they're going. But the main questions that are not answered is how do we tackle as we pursue this expansion and the target of the 3 million ton annually. They do not address how do we address the adverse impact that will pop up as a result of this pursuit. The objective of today's dialogue is clear. We aim to examine how Zambia can effectively harness its critical minerals wealth in a way that promotes sustainable economic development while safeguarding the rights, interests, and the livelihood of the local communities. By bringing together government agencies, civil societies, organizations, local representatives, industry players, and international partners, we hope to foster an open and constructive conversation around the governance frameworks and community-centered approaches necessary for sustainable development in the mining sector.
So very broadly, there's a huge growth in demand for minerals globally, and it's a very fast-moving environment. So the scale and the pace of the demand for minerals is just unprecedented, and it's being explored from all angles, from all different governments. At the same time, land has different uses, it's got different values for different communities and different people, and land is particularly complex, as is minerals in terms of legal issues, particularly in Zambia where we have a dual system and in other parts of Africa.
There have been a lot of conversions which have been taking place for mining, for agriculture, and for other various uses. So of course we have to look at the land reform, that has to look at the interests of the infrastructure, which over time also has been shut down because of issues to do with the communal use. So if you look at the land form, the Land Act for 1995, and also the land policy for 2021, there are issues to address issues of converting customer land to settlement, but they have been criticized over time because they seem to be favoring individual ownership over customer and communal use.
Looked at which SDGs are supported the most by the policy framework, and so that means that how many direct positive, like these are the ones that score the most direct positive. So that is no poverty, economic growth and decent work, reduced inequalities and partnerships. So that means that if this policy framework was to be implemented really effectively, then Zambia would be doing really well on those 4 sustainable development goals. The one below that shows where there's potential for the policy and for ASM to really, really improve and have a good effect, but they're not direct effects. So you have, it's relating to agriculture and hunger, quality education, and clean energy. And that's because there's very few direct policies relating to those, but there's a lot of indirect policies relating to those. So for example, supporting artisanal small-scale mining can really support people's income, which can then be invested into agriculture. But there's no direct policies across the framework that make that link. So, is that a policy gap? Or, similar to education and clean energy.
I think this would kind of drive momentum on the SDGs, and it would be able to say, look at the connections. You cannot think about mining without thinking about food, without thinking about poverty, all of these things. And so in academic literature, there was quite a lot of work to map contributions of different sectors across them to demonstrate those interconnections. But what never happened was localising that. So we did a piece of work a few years ago that was looking at solar and looking at what the contribution of small-scale solar and large-scale solar could be to the SDGs in Rwanda. And Moni has a human rights background, has a legal background, and we thought this would be an interesting exercise. And I think it has a number of functions. I think it highlights what we're picking up, what we understand those positives to be, what we're not picking up, and where more effort could be made to say, hang on a minute, artisanal small-scale mining can have a huge impact on hunger if we do it right, and we need support to do it correctly. So to kind of highlight those areas where there isn't that focus and think about what could be done to raise the profile of those missing areas.
Economic challenges are talking of management of revenue and distribution of revenue may not be important to what is supposed to be done. We find that what coming from the mining may not be necessarily what is supposed to be powered by the community. Then you talk of tax evasion and illegal financial fraud. Some mining that are fraudulently established, and maybe people do not pay the necessary tax that's supposed to be paid. The limited economic benefit for local communities are left poor despite having the center in the center of the mineral arrangement area. You are talking of also is to limited benefit, dependence on single commodity, where we are completely depending on maybe mining other than by finding other introductions of this is the mining, this is the natural power, or maybe farming around the mining areas.
This year our focus has been to get them to work in a sustainable manner, incorporating human rights in their work. And incorporating human rights basically means applying those principles under the UN guiding principles on business and human rights.
Even in our submissions to the government, because we also present our own challenges, our ideas as under the Federation for Small-Scale Miners Associations in Zambia, as well as for women. We are in the extractive industry. And what we feel is the government policies are there mostly to provide for the large-scale miners. We are small-scale miners, and the policies which we want to get beneficiation from are not working for us. We can submit, but there is no implementation.
Because they're strong on the national agenda, so SDG 1 on no poverty, SDG 8 on economic growth, SDG 10 on reduced inequalities, and SDG 17 on partnerships, that the policy scores really strongly on those. But ironically, those are also where, in reality, ASM is really not delivering. So you can still use it to look at the national agenda.
With regards to the resources, it has been a very big hindrance in terms of developing this sector. The sector has got huge potential to grow, but because it has been neglected, I'm sorry, but I need to be more factual and honest. Other sectors of artisanal and small-scale mining have seen a lot of influx in terms of support, okay? How they can improve their businesses and grow. But when it comes to the mining perspective, it has been a challenge, especially some of us who have been working with colleagues who are doing the mining. It has been a huge challenge. Hence, when we can, if that tool is to be a robust, we use it in a robust way to lobby and engage with policymakers, it is giving us it is going to lead us in a positive direction and improve the sector in as much as we want to see it. Even when you look at the human rights, you agree with me to say we are challenged to say there is a lot that we need to do in order to address the aspect of human rights and business.
The challenges and everything that's listed there is actually in agreement with our observations, our research findings, and so forth, which means that we are on the same page with government. So what we would like to see is action to enact laws, to enact policies to address those issues, including the issue that was raised by Mr. Tapam. That's one of my recommendations, to have corporate social responsibility not as an option and at the discretion of the investor, but it should be compulsory or mandatory, but it should be community-driven and not the investor thinking what's the easiest thing I can do. No, the community must determine what they should want as corporate social responsibility.